Hello, I'm the Nostalgic Critic. I remember it so you don't have to. I'm at Galloping Ghost, the largest arcade in the world, to try out the new section I like to call Arcadaptation. See, in the 80s and 90s, a lot of media had arcade games based around them. You name it, movies, shows, even Aerosmith had an arcade game. And while yes, these games are fun to talk about, not many people discuss them as adaptations. I mean, these games were probably rushed to cash in on the zeitgeist, so it's interesting to look over just how well these games capture the voice of the subject matter. Or how much they made shit up because they didn't have enough info on the subject matter. Case in point, we're going to be talking about one of the most popular beat-em-up games of all time based on a very unlikely source, the Simpsons arcade game. How would I get back here? The Simpsons arcade game was released by Konami in 1991 and was an instant success, being one of the top 3 highest-selling cabinets of that year and proving Simpson Mania was alive and well despite the show only being out for 2 years. But with that said, while The Simpsons now has over 35 years of endless characters and jokes to pull from, Konami only had 2 years of content, hell, maybe even less than that to work off of. Needless to say, this makes it tricky to find dozens and dozens of enemies and obstacles to fight. So we're gonna see how well it holds up, not just as a game, but as an it's a working title. It starts off as on point as you can get, replicating the show's intro, while also explaining who they are to newcomers. The story starts with Mr. Smithers robbing a jewelry store with explosives. Seems a lot of character. Yes, Smithers and Burns do bad things, but I'm gonna take a wild guess and say they don't need the money that bad. Smithers literally bumps into the Simpsons, causing him to drop the diamond. Maggie confuses it for a pacifier, so Smithers kidnaps Maggie. Again, for what they had at the time, this was probably the quickest way to get a simple story across. You can either play as Homer, Marge, Bart, or Lisa, all voiced by the original cast. You got a jump button and attack button, and if you push them both, you do a special attack that hurts enemies even more. And unlike some other Konami beat-em-ups, it doesn't take off any of your life force anytime you use it. If you and another player stand still close enough to each other, you can also join forces and do a special move. Even if sometimes it does result in some of the most annoying sounds in arcade history.
I can't believe you don't shut up!
Okay, I'm gonna choose Marge because I think her weapon being a vacuum had a little bit more reach, but I could be wrong about that. On that note, I guess they were vacuum shopping because I don't know why else she'd just be walking around with that thing. Maybe she's cleaning the sidewalk, I don't know. Also, I'll just say it, some of these situations look hilariously disturbing when you fight as her. Jesus! And like Princess Peach, if you're a dainty homebody in a fighting game, naturally your ass is gonna be a weapon.
You got a butt that won't quit.
You walk around town fighting Mr. Burns' hired goons.
Hired goons?
Who are a little weirdly designed. They're middle-aged men who look like, well, a family of 4 could take them out. I just feel like Burns would have tougher henchmen. But all throughout the levels, they sneak in little cameos that nowadays I'm not sure the average fan would recognize. This kid in the arcade was actually a kid in the arcade in the early seasons. These bunny characters are from Matt Groening's old comic strip. Even the boss you find in the first level is a wrestler briefly seen in Season 2. So they really tried to utilize as many characters as possible. But yeah, a family sitcom, even an anime one, didn't have much use for assassins and henchmen and such, so they did need to make some up. Like in the first 2 levels, Springfield and Krusty Land, these 2 guys pop up before you fight them as a boss in the 3rd level, and I have no idea who they're supposed to be. But they present them like, ooh, these 2 are here, get ready to see more of them. Maybe they accidentally got the script for the Moonwalker game when they figured out they got the wrong one, they just never changed it back. Speaking of which, in levels 3 and 4, when you go through a graveyard and a bar scene, I swear these are send-ups to the Moonwalker games. Which, seeing how Jackson guest starred on the show and may have even written the Bartman song, I don't think that's such a stretch.
Please, they prefer to be called the living impaired.
Even in that cutaway joke he's wearing a Jackson album, Simpsons Gate is real, whatever it is. I guess Moe is really moving up in the world, turning his bar into a franchise. He even has Bart Tracy playing there. Okay, now the background jokes are great. Even Moe being on the phone while a fight breaks out indicates this is really nothing new for him.
Hey everybody, I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt smells.
And then yeah, there are jokes that are just there to be video game jokes. Like they have an alien arcade cabinet and it's shown it's Marge as one of the aliens. Get it? Because her hair looks like penis. The Simpsons game itself gets a lot of self-promotion. I think this works because, again, these jokes were par for the course at the time. And it does show you're not supposed to take this too seriously. Now let me continue to analyze every nitpick in connection to the original. Maybe if they waited later, they could have promoted some other Simpsons games. We don't talk about that here. Those were very patient henchmen waiting in those cabinets. Again, knowing Moe, he probably smuggled a million other things in them.
Alright, on the light.
At the end of the level, you fight a boss who's just a junkie. Yeah, okay, I do wish they could have utilized some other villains they had, like Mrs. Botts or Sideshow Bob or the aliens. Even instead of the Krusty Balloon at the end of level 2, it would have been cooler if they had some henchmen dressed up as Itchy and Scratchy. Still, like I said, I don't know what the rush for this game was, and it is impressive they worked in as much as they did. Heck, in the next level, the bear that accidentally gets released from Krusty Land reappears and is drawn exactly like the bears in the camping episode. And that's 2 callbacks. It's clever, too, that they run into Bigfoot, and in the episode I just mentioned, they joke about how Homer is so below average he's confused for Bigfoot. And here, he has the same moves as Homer. That's actually kind of subtle if you think about it. Uh-oh, there's that bear again. You do have to fight the bear at the end, who, wait, was a henchman the whole time? So he was just in a cage and they chased after his employer?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay, as you fall off a waterfall and get knocked out. Leading to the most inventive level, your own dream. Or a shared dream if you're playing with others. This gets really out there and has a lot of fun, using elements from every family member's life as obstacles. And of course, they're operating with Matrix on Elm Street rules that if you die in the dream, you die in real life. Jesus, I never knew Marge had such self-hate. Granted, I think most parents have a dream similar to this about their kids. And it usually ends the same way. You have to fight a giant bowling ball at the end, and afterwards you play one of the few in-between games where you have to push the buttons as quickly as possible. In the old days, I used to smash them at the same time as quick as I could, but I think it actually works better if you just go back and forth between them. Once you wake up, you go to the next level, a TV station. And seeing how Konami also did the Ninja Turtles game, you gotta wonder if that channel name is intentional. While they do miss an opportunity to get Ken Brockman in there, I do like he's legit angry people are fighting during his newscast and he just gives up. Don't worry, buddy, there wasn't even a camera recording you. This level's a little underwhelming, seeing how it's only a news set, a space set, and then a ninja set. I feel like they could have gone a lot further with this. However, it is quite revealing to find out that Marge is a rabbit. I did not know this. The boss is, I don't know, Doc Brown, the samurai clown. And once you defeat him, you get to the final level at the nuclear power plant. Honestly, it's not even a level, it's just 2 boss battles. It's almost like they forgot to wake the henchmen up and you just pass them by without even knowing.
How dare you disturb me during nap time?
But seeing how the last level was a little underwhelming, and I feel like we've kind of fought the nuclear power plant a few other times in other levels, I think it's pretty welcomed. And while it's cool the original voices of the main characters are represented here, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say the voice of Smithers isn't the original.
Welcome to my world.
Very brave of them to have Mickey Rooney return to his most controversial role. Maybe they were like, yeah, he went from black to white, why not throw Asian in the mix too? He throws his explosives at you. Again, as the character does. And once you defeat him, you finally take on Mr. Burns.
Welcome to your grave, sucker.
Okay, this feels like the most authentic boss battle. Tell me you couldn't see him just having this thing stashed away. Hell, he probably creates Girl Scouts asking for money for cookies in this.
Where do you think you're going?
And appropriately, he is damn difficult to beat. Jesus, why'd you become as hard as Dragon's Lair all of a sudden? You fight him in a few different forms, which again feels appropriate for the final boss. And after he's defeated, Maggie puts a pacifier in his mouth. Which again is a joke the early seasons would probably end on. Thus the credits roll as they all walk home. Homer even gives you the diamond at the end. Yeah, thanks, those shiny pixels will definitely cover all the quarter guzzling that final boss raked up. So there it is, the Simpsons arcade game. You know, it's still pretty damn good. As a game, it's basically a classic. It's fun, it's creative, it has a lot of variety. On the whole, I give it an A. As an adaptation, it's also pretty decent. It captures the spirit and humor of the early seasons while also being laid back enough to throw in some in-jokes and character cameos superfans would recognize. It does miss the mark in a few areas, like not utilizing even more characters and having a shaky story that, yes, is par of the course for games at that time, but could have been a touch more clever. As an adaptation, I give it a B+. So I guess all added together, that equal out to an A-. It's still a pretty impressive accomplishment all these years later. With that said, what do you think? Do you think this game works both on its own and as an adaptation? Or do you feel like it missed the idea of what the show was about? And also let me know if you dig me reviewing old arcade games as adaptations and what ones you want to see me do in the future. I'm the nostalgia critic, I remember, so you don't have to.
Welcome to my world.